All right, I think we're all set. Just waiting on Star. She's not usually late.
Yeah, usually that's us. Really odd for her. Like,
Like, are you forgetting what you're saying again?
no, no, sorry. I thought I saw something.
What? Oh, did her icon appear?
No, I mean on your camera.
It's just me, buddy.
Are you sure?
Absolute.
I'm here to talk about your podcasting heritage already.
Damn it.
What? What is it?
Yours too, Robin. Your extended warranty's coming.
I can hear the whispering. She's here.
Oh, hell no. Phew. Oh, that was close. Wait, that doesn't count as killing him, right? Because that would mean.
Surprise, bitch, I'm still here.
Oh,
Hello, and welcome to an awful lot of running a Doctor Who podcast.
woo!
I am Jack, one part of your usual hosting team, and joining me as ever, the Dungeon Daddy himself, the Mo to my Shayla. Shyla? I can't remember. It's already lost to me. It's already lost.
The Robin effect is kicking in.
Yeah,
Yo, no,
obviously it is.
only
Yeah.
one of us needs that. That's for
Oh
sure.
no, yeah, that's what it is. But no, it is published author Robin Foale.
Oh, I am here and I cannot wait to discuss this episode. But I have to contain my excitement because we need to introduce our other lovely host of this group.
Yes, our
I am
otherly,
also here.
our otherly
I'm,
host, our
I'm so
otherly
excited I
host.
can't even talk.
Yeah, well, our otherly host is here, our editor in chief. She's the Alice Fenley to our group here now.
Mm.
Or is she just, it has no name? No, she does have a name. She's Star.
Am I?
So, I mean, in case you hadn't guessed it, in case you somehow missed it, we are here today to talk about season 2 of Doctor Who, episode 3, The Well, written by Rusty Davis and Sharma Angel Woolfall, directed by Amanda Bracci. So, well, not an awful lot to say about this one, is there?
No, not much really happens, no significance to any like past episodes or the like.
No, nothing whatsoever. Nothing. It's only a fucking sequel to Midnight, guys.
What?
Yeah. Um, Star, you had a question before we started. Did you want to ask that before we get into things proper?
Okay. So, if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you've watched the episode, and if not, why are you listening to this? But at what point did we realize it was midnight as Doctor Who fans? Because I realized as soon as the word extonic was mentioned.
Robin, do you wanna go for this one first? Because I have a boring
Oh,
answer.
no. It's like that's very interesting. That is because I think it was my fiance who got it much more quicker than me because she did that kind of classic thing where she was like, "Wait, oh, is it?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Shh, shh." It's like, "Carry on." And it's like, "Oh, I just put me through suspense there." But it's like as it further got in, and then as they were building up to it, and as that mention of diamonds, that's when I was like, "Oh, fuck." Okay, that that bit of news about there being an episode that's a sequel to an episode, which I mentioned back in our predictions video for episode 1. If you haven't watched that, maybe you want to see that and see if our guesses were right or wrong. Yeah, like I'm so glad that I avoided spoilers for this and the like because wow. How about yourself, Jack?
Yeah, Twitter spilled it for me, didn't they?
Ah, fuck.
Not because the episode had come out, but because it had leaked that episode 3 was going to be a sequel to Midnight. So I went into this with great trepidation. Great trepidation, because Midnight is one of my favorite episodes, and I've gone on record before. We've both said it, Robin, way back in episode 10 when we did our top 10 favorite episodes of Doctor Who, of the revival at least. We said if there was ever a sequel to Midnight, it would ruin it entirely.
We did actually, and for them to have the balls to do a sequel to not just any episode of Doctor Who, but arguably one of the greatest, not just in our top 10, but in the top 10 of so many others, to the point that it ascends Doctor Who. It becomes perfect for stage plays, for like Black Mirror episodes, like those standalone perfect episodes you could just watch, and anyone from any genre of any medium could just love it because it's just superbly written. For them to actually go, yeah, let's do a sequel to that. Um, we're doing a sequel. Um, but
Hey, stop referencing the Muppets, all right?
what? Even though the sequel's not quite as good, but yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no. Look, it's not quite as good. It's still top tier Doctor Who.
Oh, it is. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Fucking
It's
hell.
Okay, hang on. Let's ask the question. How many times have we rewatched it? Because I'm going to probably break both of you.
yeah, you definitely
Ooh.
have. I literally 20 minutes before we started recording finished my second watch. So I've only rewatched it once. And I
Okay.
needed to. I'm so glad I did, because I enjoyed it so much more on the rewatch, because going into it, I was, and I'll say it again, Twitter ruined it for me, because people on Doctor Who Twitter can't shut the fuck up. Okay. And I'm going to get my soapbox just give me 1 minute. Okay.
Mhm.
Hang on, I'm timing you.
A leak does not denote public knowledge. I don't want to see you discussing a fucking leak on the timeline. I don't want to see it. It's not fair to people. By Generation was something which leaked before. I'm very lucky I missed that, because apparently that was all over the case of people talking about it online. Okay. This happened to me with number 1 last week. The fans, the meta part, I knew that was coming up. And secondly, I knew that The Well was going to be a sequel to Midnight, because of you fuckers, you inconsiderate assholes on twitter.com. There.
That sucks. It really
Fuck
does
Twitter.
suck. Yeah. I've only watched this episode once, but my God, did that episode just ingrain itself in my head? I just loved it from start to finish. I felt so engaged the whole time. The fact that it starts off as like, again, they're continuing like each one is a direct sequel to one another, which I love. We're
Yeah,
seeing that
right.
continuation of characters.
Here's the thing, right? I've been thinking about
Okay.
this. Okay, Robot Revolution. Belinda's woken up in the middle of the night, having obviously worked a shift all day. She then does the Robot Revolution. She then does Lux. She then does the Well. She's got to be fucking knackered.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Jesus
Hey,
Christ.
I tell
I
you
mean,
what.
she gets a bit of a nap at the end of this one.
Oh, oh, that's so mean.
You beat me to my joke.
Oh, no, I mean, I tell you what, like nursing, the amazing work that nurses do, and oh, the hours they do back to back, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and I think that's whether or not that was intentional or not, but
Yeah, no, yeah.
it's
They
it's just as
they
well.
have to turn incels into sperm and fight cartoon characters and
Well,
evil creatures that have crawled out of hell. Wait,
I'm sorry, are we still talking about Doctor Who or
I'm literally that I've literally just summed up the first three episodes.
Yeah,
Right?
I know. It's like, oh,
Which
let's
can I
describe
just
Doctor Who
say?
to non-fans.
Can I just say, 3 for 3, right? Robot Revolution, Lux, The Well. Season 2 is on fucking fire.
It is. It
Like,
is.
I
And
I go as far to say that this is the strongest like 3 episode run we've had since series 4.
mm, I see it. I really
You
do.
know, when you think back to what Partners in Crime, Fires of Pompeii, and Planet of the Ood, 3 really strong episodes back to back. This is up there as well, like amazingly.
Like, even myself, who thought Web Evolution wasn't my favorite thing, actually going back and sort of seeing just the technical side of things, like I can still appreciate great aspects of that episode. And I absolutely adored Lux and I absolutely adored this episode. Like, we're eating good with Doctor Who this season. But before we carry on, Star, how many times have you watched this episode?
10 now.
Oh,
I was expecting 4.5 billion.
I save that joke for special occasions, like tomorrow night, because it will probably be 4.5 billion by then.
Nice.
I'm just
Although,
gonna watch it on my flight.
so like I said, I watched it the first time and I came out of it and my review on the first watch was a very good episode, a great episode, in fact, not a great sequel to Midnight.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I've gone back on that. I think
Mm,
I think it's very good. I think it's, if you were going to do a sequel to Midnight, I'm glad it was this. Frankly, I think it could have been so much worse. I think that you could argue that something like Wild Blue Yonder is a spiritual sequel to Midnight. For this to be
mhm.
a sort of I say direct sequel, 40,000, 400,000.
400,000 years.
Yeah, 400,000
Mm.
years have passed since the events of Midnight, and whether they've been rewritten as well is another whole thing. There, we get some lovely little details in this, which I think are great little, they're great little bread bread trails.
Breadcrumbs.
Yeah, breadcrumbs. I will say, there's one. It's the biggest breadcrumb of the series, and I just don't give a shit about it. But we'll get there when we get there. Okay. So yeah, as you said, episode opens up Belinda and the Doctor in the TARDIS, still in their Lux costumes. They have a really heartfelt little scene there, which is really, really
Mm.
lovely. The Doctor's like, we've just got to take a few more Vindicator readings. And again, Vinda reference in 2025. Yes, coming back. Vinda's coming back, guys. And then the Doctor's like, oh, because Belinda's like, well, if we're going to go out there, we're going to change. We're going to have new clothes. And he's like, oh, you're starting to enjoy this. And we get a almost shot for shot recreation of the Devil's Cord and Lux, of the Doctor and Belinda going in the one door and coming out the one door in the walkway above it. And this is a nitpick, which a lot of people have for the episode. Star, you want to speak to this? Because this is one of your big ones.
Yeah, this is like, I
Okay.
think after 10 watches, this is like my only problem with it now. It's too convenient that they get the exact spacesuits. This was a
Yeah.
perfectly ripe opportunity for the orange spacesuits, and I will understand the orange spacesuits would be terrible. They would fall flat on their face because they don't have propulsions. But at the same time, it would have been nice for them to stand out and not look the same as everyone else, which is a key thing for the Doctor and the Companion. They are meant to stand out. They're meant to look different. They're meant to be like, these two do not look right. That must be main characters.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, it's tough to say that if that's something which suspends your disbelief in Doctor Who is one of the, it could be anything. The Doctor, the TARDIS preparing them for this, and just happens to have the right ones there, and it generates them, and all that stuff. Anything like that. It could just be the TARDIS was like, look, no, you want to be looking at Shooty's bum in this one, not the other one. We're doing this for the plot.
I love the fact that Shoot even brings up like, and your mum will be checking out my bum, and it's just like, what? I mean, he knows it.
Yeah, he knows what's gonna happen. He does,
He knows his fan base too well because hey, he's got a
I
fine
mean,
bum.
considering he met them last week.
Yeah. So look, here's a thing as well. We got a series 1 reference, right?
Yeah.
Did you pick up on it, Robin?
Yeah, toxic, being
Yes.
playing. Like, I haven't heard that since Rose Tyler seeing the Earth being destroyed. That took me back straight away. That did. Like, wow. And I agree. I do agree that was kind of my big nitpick with the episode as well. Not a deal breaker. And it's interesting because it feels like they could have just have written it as they just check the camera feeds or something, something they hardly ever do, except for, wait, no, they definitely did do that with the last episode. So it's just like, why didn't you just do that with this? But I think it's everyone's biggest nitpick. But if that's the biggest issue of the episode, then, it's not.
It's a bloody good episode.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing. You can easily get past that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I liked the music song. It was like, you know what? Is a little bit again, sort of arcing back. Maybe it's a deliberate little tease as to like them
maybe
going
it's
back
a deliberate
to the past.
little, like, it's like 20 years we've been doing this. Is a little, throwback. Could be.
I do think that it would be quite cool if they had just gone straight out the TARDIS, but instead of like doing the costume changes, they go out and there's just like those kind of machines that are just placing the suits on everyone, and it just adds to their constant confusion because obviously they go, "Hey, we're the Doctor." Well, wait, what? It would have been just fun just to see them go out and be like, "Hello," then like they're suddenly suited up and then being thrown out.
Oh, like Iron Man's suit sort of just gets placed on them and they're just like, wait, what? No.
That would have been pretty cool, yeah.
I like that. I do like that.
I think as a cold open goes, it's not really a cold open in the same sense of last week's one, because it's not really, it's an opening and then we have the titles and then we continue the episode, don't we? It's not so much like the same fun. It's a very good setup to the episode. I think it's really cool. You get straight into the action. I looked at it earlier when I was doing my rewatch. 10 minutes in, we're already mentioning broken mirrors and snap necks and broken bodies and laser shots, and that's 10 minutes in, and it's like, oh, okay, we get straight into it. They're like, no, we're not going to build you up. We're going to go straight into this.
Yeah.
We get obviously the Doctor and Belinda using the Vindicator on planet 6767. Interesting. And obviously we get the reference to galvanic radiation again. Robin, I'm going to ask you because I know Star would have picked up on it anyway. Do you recognize that term, galvanic radiation?
I don't know.
You should.
You should. Because galvanic radiation is what the toy maker shot the 14th Doctor with way, way back in the Giggle. Because they had the galvanic beam, didn't they? Which they used,
Oh shit, they did, didn't they?
Yep.
Okay. Nicely spotted with that. Can I just say as well, these first 10 minutes that we get, not only are they great for like just that nice little moment between Belinda and the Doctor, and then boom, right into the action, but it really does set you up thinking, oh, this is going to be like an adventurous episode. This is going to be like another fun time. And then shit starts to hit the fan pretty damn quickly. And it was
Mm.
just like, oh, this is no longer sunshine and happiness and adventure. Um,
I mean, they land in a quarry, to be fair, which is
yeah.
very Doctor Who. It's
Yeah.
not very sunshiny, is it? It's literally like, oh no, there's galvanic radiation uh billowing down on the planet here. It'll take 5 hours for the drop ship to land because of that galvanic radiation. And there's a great line as well there, because we're introduced to Shea Castellion, who is the commander of the troopers there, who, by the way, I was instantly getting like Bernie Summerfield vibes from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I instantly was like, oh, this is a really cool character here. I like this, almost giving she was giving Ripley vibes, even, I'd say, which is,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, this is the Aliens to Midnight's Alien, which I do kind of see, but I do also think it's a bit of
Yeah.
a reductive
Mm.
comparison, really, in a way as well. But, and I was instantly like, oh, she's great. We get the Doctor, Flash, and Psychic paper, which I always love as well. And then they
Yeah.
go over to the base, and Mo, who is one of the other troopers, says that they can't detect any life signs from there, although the galvanic radiation could be interfering with it, meaning they can't pick up heartbeats. Very
Mm.
interesting. Very interesting.
It was
I
because. Oh, sorry, Sal. You go ahead
I
first.
was just gonna point out at this point that and this is the point that Law mentioned, but the whole start setup of the story is exactly like uh one of the idea suggestions in a Doctor Who RPG book. I can't tell you the exact one, but Law mentioned it in the Time Siren server. I was just like, oh my
Mm.
God.
Damn.
Really? That's
Which
really
was
cool.
they had set it up in the source book as a prequel to Midnight though.
Oh, that's
Mm.
cool.
So
That's. Oh, I've got to find that one now. That's really fascinating.
That's not
Um,
that's not Doctors and Daleks, that's the Doctor Who RPG game, yeah?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure because I think Lord sent a screenshot on timeline and then I saw it. Editing me, put the screenshot in.
what I really liked about this because I hadn't been spoiled, and as I was watching this, because I had no idea what the monster of the week was going to be. And so when I saw that necks had been snapped, mirrors had been smashed, my first impression was, wait, are we getting Weeping Angels back? Are they like smashing the mirrors so that they can't be seen sneaking up behind people? Are they snapping necks? But then, like, for it to end up being something so different, for it to actually be a sequel to Midnight of all things, that was just so fascinating and so interesting, I found.
Totally, totally. And it is so eerie, and it is so, again, I hate to compare it to Aliens, but it is so like, they arrive at the base and they're instantly investigating, and it's only after they've checked a few bodies, and the Doctor has a great exchange with Cassio, who's one of the other troopers there, where it's like, oh, don't worry, I come in peace, babes. And Cassio's like, it's not appropriate to call me babes. He's like, oh, sorry, hun. Love that. Love that.
I mean, we even get the classic sort of like we should have just nuked this place from orbit. It's the only way
Yeah,
to be
that's
sure.
literally from Aliens, isn't
It
it? That's
is. It's
literally,
just
yeah.
it's like, okay, all right, we know exactly what we're getting with this. We get the exact tone. It's like, oh, this is not happy sunshine adventure.
Mhm.
This is aliens.
Yeah,
I love
which
it.
I hate to say because it is kind of reductive, but it makes sense because I feel like Alien is a much more sort of claustrophobic movie, which is definitely what Midnight is as an episode as well.
Mm,
And this is that, there are definitely there's moments in Aliens, but it is more action horror than that sort of claustrophobic feel, which I guess you could almost say this is like, not quite in the same way. It's not got that same claustrophobic feel, has it? This episode,
mm.
no.
Not
Yeah.
It's
not nearly as claustrophobic. If anything, it does the opposite, doesn't it? Because when we finally find the source of the beep, and it's just like, oh, it's just this one person, and then they're in this open room. It does a fantastic thing where it's not a closed off environment. It's this big environment, but it's this it's the actual environment and where you're standing that you have to be so careful of. And it's really
Yeah.
interesting because you look at like the behind the scenes stuff with the actors reading the script and it telling them where they're standing, as if they're standing on a clock face. And they didn't understand it at first. And it was only through like having like little figurines and like on like a piece of paper when they began filming that they finally got the realization of, oh, it's literally you stand on midnight, you die, and it's like, oh shit, okay. Which I know
Yeah,
I'm
I
jumping
didn't I
the gun
didn't
a little
get
bit.
that either because I was like, it makes so much sense to me. You stand on midnight, you die. That's it. I didn't understand why they were all so confused with it. And then Belinda has that bit in the episode as well where she brings out a sort of a cog and another cog, and she's like, "We're here. This is Alice. This is the thing behind Alice. If you go behind the thing that's behind Alice, you die." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of got that." Like, you know, what I will
Yeah.
say what I will say, there's a fantastic supporting cast in this
Oh
episode.
my God, yeah.
Yes.
And I do want to make special praise to Rose Ayling Ellis, who plays Alice in this.
She was phenomenal.
Oh my God, straight away, a hearing impaired actor, a deaf actress,
Mm,
and giving such an amazing performance there that when we first see her we don't know whether to trust her or not, and I think it's really interesting to sort of dissect her performance in this because I think she goes through so many different sort of shades of it. And I've said it in a group chat that I feel like the questions we're left with this episode in terms of things is, I think this is what 73 yards was going for, but done right. Whereas
mm,
I still like the 73 yards, but I will say the shine has come off a bit because I feel like too much is left to interpretation. Too much is leaving the text itself and being made, having to be gaps filled in by the audience. I think this balances it just well enough that the art transcends the screen and it continues in your mind. I know for a fact, since watching this episode for the first time on Saturday, I've not been able to stop thinking about it and developing little theories and different ideas. And it's so, so many things of that, so many points of that come back to Rose's performance in this.
I can
jeez.
attest to the fact that he's been talking a lot about this. I think this has been the most we've talked about an episode prior to the podcast. 'Cause usually, I think we kind of avoid it so we could say everything on the pod, but we were just talking the theories, everything, pointing out every tiny little detail.
Mm. It is an episode where you can feel like there's so much to dissect. There's so many just beautiful little moments. And I think what's great about it is not only is there this tension, there's that real paranoia, which again, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Like comparing it to Midnight for them to be able to go, yo, let's continue on that paranoia. Let's make it so you're not exactly sure if you can trust this lone survivor, this Alice on her own, and whether it's the soldiers who are going crazy, whether it's something to do with her or not. And it's beautifully done. It really is, and it really creates this great tension when they refuse to engage with her. It's only like when the doctor decides to, through being able to perform BSL, British Sign Language, which so glad the doctor can do that. And Shooty apparently picked up super quickly as well, which was
Yeah,
it's
he
insanely cool.
he's not nailed it exactly, but like for picking up that quickly, he did really well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I am really glad that they have. I don't want to say retconned it. I think that it's more character growth because obviously previous time with Capaldi he couldn't do it, and now Shooty can. I like to think that 12 looked back on that and went, "Yeah, no, I should really learn this." I'm little fan theory. Learned it at
Mhm.
university.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm.
I like that a lot.
Oh,
What I think is really good about it as well is that Belinda has that line about, how, Alice says it's illegal for a nurse not to know how to sign. And Belinda goes, do you know what? I agree. It should be legal. You know, it should be made. You know, someone should should be know. And I think it's something which I think, and I've certainly thought about looking into BSL before as well. I think it is something that we should all know as well. Anyway, I think it should be taught in schools and stuff like that.
I mean, as someone who had to use sign language, like a very limited form of BSL when I was younger, before I could learn to speak at the age of 5, to see that on screen was wonderful. And I'd never experienced the actresses' performances before. This is my first time seeing them. Is it Rose or Rose?
Rose.
Rose, yeah. Like Rose's acting, this was my first time with her, and she knocked it out the park straight away. I felt so sympathetic for her character, which only added to the sense of dread and paranoia. And oh, you talk about Belinda. She has that great moment, that great character moment again, where she recognizes when someone's injured or hurting. Like last week, she recognized that Mr. Pie had the fingernails,
Nicotine, yeah.
the nicotine, yeah, and she recognized that she was injured. No one else saw that, and it's like these little things that a nurse would spot, which just adds more to a character, which is so brilliant.
It
I-
is. Sorry, Star. Go on.
So, going back to the fact that about this, just the entire cast, everyone's just like genuinely really on good form.
Yeah.
Like you've got, I should know all the names. I've watched it 10 times, and yet the names are escaping me. But it's just because, yeah, on the spot moment. But like the commander, she's got like phenomenal performance there. I genuinely can't remember the dickhead's name, but honestly, the
Cassia.
dickhead, Cassia. That's the calculator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't remember his name, because I kept thinking about calculators. But yeah, no, he did a great job, even like as an antagonistic role, and even like just the one of the few minor characters that's just like the bald one that looks over and is like, no, it was nothing. Even those tiny little performances are like done to the max.
There's a lot of characters in this as well, because they
Yeah.
do go in as a party of 13. They
Not
join.
for long.
No,
I was going to
exactly.
say there's a few red shirts, aren't there?
Yeah.
I was actually watching some reactions, and a lot of people were just saying the spacesuits should have been red.
Yeah. Oh. And okay, let me ask you two's this. Um, how tense were you watching this episode? Did the both of you get like chills when that first jump scare happened?
Yeah.
I blinked and missed the first. I was just I had the sound effect they play, which is very reminiscent of Midnight, by the way. Which, it's a big indicator. But I just had Belinda going like, "Whoa!" and I was like, "What? Like what?" And it was only the second time I saw the mask or the silhouette just go back.
It's so creepy. Like I don't know. Like, have your kids watched this episode yet, Jack?
No, I
Like,
haven't let them watch this one yet. No,
oh,
a bit
because
too. They thought it was a bit too. And I know in Unleashed, Russell talks about how there are 6-year-olds watching this. And I was like, I'm not letting my 5-year-old and 4-year-old watch this one at the minute. It's not. That's not.
yeah. Like, Midnight's not an episode that 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds would watch frequently on the TV. But to have a sequel and for it to be even more tense for those jump scares, which are done not nearly as many times as it would get annoying or get predictable. It keeps you on your toes. And every time it happened, because I kept trying to work out what it was, because none of us wanted to pause it on the iPlayer. And we were just like proper jump scares.
It's just enough as well. I think if we'd seen a proper corporeal form, or we'd seen it standing there properly, if we'd seen anything concrete, it would have ruined it.
Yes.
The fact that we never properly see it, that we even have to question whether we do actually see it, is and even the characters ask that as well. There's a point later in the episode where Belinda believes it's behind her, and you do sort of see a silhouette for like a split second, but it could also be her hair. It could also be anything else. It's again, this is what I like about it. It gives you questions. It makes you think about it without having sort of big gaps of interpretation. It's okay, and I think that as well comes back to Rose's performance, because when they first come in to see Alice, I'm gonna I'm gonna say something which has become a popular theory, and it's something which I believe, but I do also have to address that it's difficult because it could also be construed as being ableist. Okay. So
Okay.
let me put that out there now. And it's not something I believe. It's in, it's never something which I'd seek to be. It's never something that I'd endorse at all, because ableism in any form of bigotry, I think it's disgusting. The second they all come into that room, they're all prejudiced towards her, apart from the Doctor and Belinda, I'd say. But her performance as well, and the fact that they couldn't pick up a life sign before, but when they actually get into the base, when they're almost right at the door, they finally pick up a heartbeat. And she's been in that room for 15 days, right by the body of her best friend. I don't know how she would have had the food. I don't know how she would have been able to survive in that space. There's a theory that the only reason she's there is because actually she's already been killed, and the entity is possessing her, and this whole thing
Oh.
this whole thing is just it playing one big game. And I think there is an element of that in the episode, but of course it does invite conversation about an unhealthy stereotype of the evil, disabled person, which is why we, if Davros ever shows up again, he won't be in a wheelchair anymore, which I think is good that we're acknowledging that, and it's a theory I like, but I'm also not a fan of obviously those connotations.
Can I point out a hole? And I don't mean the well.
Please.
She's a cook. It doesn't say she was sat there for ages. So there could have been food in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. But it's the fact that she's there in that space as well. It's very ominous. And I think as well, you see her performance when she's first there. She knows about this thing behind her, but she doesn't let them know about it straight away.
No.
She's holding her cards very close to her chest to start off with.
I mean, wouldn't you if loads of people came into a room started being prejudiced towards you?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
No, I totally get it.
Also said people have guns. And if they then learn that, oh, you're the thing that's got the thing that's been killing everyone, making you a murderer and our prime suspect, yeah, why shouldn't we kill you? Or it's like,
They wouldn't even ask why shouldn't we kill you. I reckon they would have just taken the shot. The fact that she slowed them down, like there was a lot more investigation, giving them a chance to be like, okay, what's going on here? We're not going to shoot first. We're going to ask questions until they do start asking too many questions, and we're starting to want to shoot first.
Mm-hmm. And also as well, obviously they have a transcription thing which shows up their speech. It shows up as the subtitles, doesn't it, on the screen there?
yeah,
I did love that.
That's
it's great.
great. But I also love how selective they are with the information that they give Alice in that. Like, I suppose loving it isn't quite what I'm looking for, but it does show that sort of inherent prejudice, doesn't it? Even the doctor's guilty of that. Even he switches it off and says to Belinda, "Be careful around Alice." And she's like, "I can still lip read." And there's even a bit later on where he turns his back on her, so she can't read his lips.
It's a real difficult situation because oh, to be in that situation, to be the Doctor who wants to save everyone, and by the end of it, this is going by the end, but by the end when he realizes what this is, and for it to have been so horrifying the first time they face this thing, and to be like, actually, I think we just need to cut our losses and just go. It's like, it's, and there is that moment where you think, are they actually going to do that? Are they going to leave poor Alice all on her own because this is a far greater threat? And I love that there's that bit of hope. There's that bit of Doctor Who hope where you're like, yes, yes, they can overcome it. And then, of course, no, just another game of it. I know I'm jumping
Absolutely.
ahead, but it's,
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's
because
beautiful.
that whole bit, we have, this is the interesting breadcrumb I think we get. We have the Doctor, Cassio, and Shea go to the well itself, and we have Mo and the rest of the troopers and Belinda staying to treat Alice there, which is when we start getting the glimpses of the creature, whatever it is behind them.
Yeah.
And obviously the Doctor comes over and sorts the screen which is happening there, and is talking about how, what's the planet? It's the something I can't remember what was it.
At first it went this planet's full of galvanic radiation. How did that happen? And then it's like, oh, it was a star. What was it before?
Oh no! But even before that, when we're getting the breadcrumbs of like what's happened to Earth,
Oh,
Yeah.
those breadcrumbs there, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Which is, I think, a lovely little thing which gives the question: are we going to be having that happen in episodes set in the future, past the 24th of May, 2025? Are we going to be having that happen where the Earth seems to have been erased from history? Which is, I think, is a really compelling, really, really compelling breadcrumb trail for us to follow along the series, because obviously we've just had Lux before this, which is set in the 1950s. We're not going to have that happen. But to have this now and potentially see what's going to be happening in the future as well, it's like, ooh, I'm interested in this. All the way through, the Doctor's referencing how Belinda's a human from Earth, and no one, despite the fact they should know because they should be in the Federation with them, knows what Earth is or what a human is.
This does make me think about upcoming Interstellar Song Contest, because Earth ain't going to be a contestant. That's the word.
Which is strange because Ryland's there.
He's not from Earth. We all know Ryland's from the moon.
There we go, then. That's what it is. Maybe. But maybe that's going to be part of it as well. That'll be interesting to see, won't it? But yeah, when I first saw this, the rug pull of galvanic radiation, exotonic star, this planet, what was it called all those years ago? The rug pull didn't work for me as much because I knew it was coming up the second time I watched it. To have, Cher go, this, it's planet 6767, and the Doctor's like, no, yeah, but what was it called 400,000 years ago? It was called Midnight. And obligatory David Tennant flashback, which
Yes.
I've seen people get annoyed about. I don't get it. It's literally just going. It's literally like a 5-second flashback of Tennant and then Sky Silvestri. It's just going. It's signposting it for people. This is a Midnight sequel. It is definitely okay. Here you go.
There's no problem with that. If they had taken 5-10 minutes out of the episode for them to just do a recap clip of like literally showing an entire scene, then we'd have a problem, because it's just like, no, you're taking away from all these amazing other actors and actresses where this is their episode, even though it's a sequel. And for them to just be like, no, couple of seconds just to remind you what Midnight was, to make those of you who have seen the episode but maybe forgot the episode's name go, oh fuck, it's that. It's like, yeah, now you get it. So it really does work out that way.
While we're on this scene, I do want to say I think Shooty encapsulates the Doctor's fear so well. Like,
Yeah.
you can see it in his eyes. He is fucking terrified.
It is that recognition, isn't it, of going, this is the most scared I've ever been in my life, and that's saying something for the Doctor, because
Yeah.
he genuinely had no idea what that thing was. Genuinely no idea. And he says there, as well, it's Alice has this great description of saying like how they say it crawled out of hell, and it was laughing, which goes so hard. And the second she said that, I had chills, because that is such a terrifying image of, number one, we don't even know what this thing really looks like, right? It certainly doesn't have a corporeal form in Midnight that we can address. It doesn't really in this. It's like, what is this thing? But the image of it crawls out of this pit, this 5-mile deep pit, and it's laughing. Like, that is terrifying.
Well, even that little clip that we get of the miners freaking out, just that build up to it. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? Like, just that build up and that description, what you say, shit hits the fan. Like, we had a jolly episode of Lux last week. So, of course, they're just going to punch us in the stomach with this and be like, yeah, you were laughing before. Now scream. Now
You
cry.
like them there cartoons, did you? Midnight.
Yeah. And I love as well, is like you say, Shooty's performance. Shooty is amazing in this episode, acting wise. Just genuinely, because you see that instant recognition in his eyes, you do. And that whole bit when he comes back into the room. Oh, it's superb.
Especially
Really
when
is.
he's like, he gets really up close and tries to address the creature. And like the fear he has, like, I know people keep complaining about Shooty crying, but this was like the most validating moment. This was not tears of like sadness. This was tears of fear.
I
The
know.
Doctor has been terrified for his lives.
And he comes up to it and he's like, old friend, like my old friend, isn't he? Which is so, and he's like, I love as well, we don't know what it says to him at all. But he is terrified. And there's the one thing we do know it says, it knows his name.
Which would make sense because it was briefly in his head.
Oh, it's something so spectacular, the tension of this. And I love as well that it's not just the same thing as Midnight.
No.
They address, it's evolved, it's doing different things, it's playing with us.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest theory about this whole thing entirely. I think the whole clock thing, and I said this to Star, I think the whole clock thing is a load of wank. Okay? Because I don't understand why it would be like, oh, do you know what? It'd be really funny. 400,000 years ago, this planet was called Midnight. What if I killed people at midnight? Ha! Yeah.
I have my own theory on that, and I think it wasn't doing that originally. And he was probably just going whenever it fucking wanted. But I think upon seeing the Doctor, and the Doctor being in the same room when they first come in, and it knows immediately that's the Doctor. I think it starts to become a taunt.
Yes. Yeah. I love that.
Oh, that's so good, because it makes sense then for when you get that heroic sort of ending with all the mercury getting poured down and you think, yeah, the Doctor's done it, we're going to have a happy ending. It's like, of course not.
Oh no,
that's
this entire time we've been playing by that entity's rules.
Oh
this
yeah,
entire
4D
time.
chess.
It's not. I fully believe it set these things up like the mirror and the mercury, and oh, you kill me, it goes to you. It's just set that shit up just to let people think it's got limitations so it can fuck with people more.
I love that idea, because the thing is, I love when horror especially has intelligent characters, and even when they're being intelligent, shit goes down. It's like The Thing. The Thing is one of my absolute favorite horror movies because even when they're being the smartest they can, like there's still stuff they have to contend with which they can't think of. And for this, like both of you have now just shared your own thoughts and have now made me appreciate this episode even more. Like I loved it just from one viewing, but for now getting this idea of, oh, actually no, it's just fucking with you, and it's doing so while laughing. It's like, oh, bloody hell, that's so good.
Yeah, it's
It's
the thing about
scary,
this.
isn't it?
Yeah, the thing about
mm,
this villain is one, we don't know fuck all about it, and two, it doesn't have an end game. It doesn't have a plan.
no.
It's just there to fuck with you.
It's not a creature that feeds off people so as to have sustenance. You know, it doesn't kill to like get the fuel it needs to keep on living. No, it just kills because it loves to do it. It
It's not
taunts
even
people
that. It's
because it
just
loves to.
because it can.
Yeah, but because it can even. Yeah. It's like it's the most evil that it can be, and that's what makes it even more terrifying.
What I think about it as well is I don't think it even sees itself as being evil. I don't think it's got those classifications. I think it's just I can fucking do this, you know?
Yeah, I think
And that's what I think is even scarier about it.
Oh, so what you see it more as chaotic neutral, do you?
Yeah. I think
Mm.
it's more just yeah.
Okay, yeah, interesting. That is
it is
interesting.
it and it is I.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Also, I will say, a part of me, I don't know if this is me going a bit too dark with the episode. A part of me was kind of hoping when people started getting lifted up that they would be twisted and snapped like
Yes.
Wagdos.
Oh, that's one of
Yes,
my other criticisms of the. I fucking hated the zoom, zoom. You know, the something which I've called and I've coined it to be stunts for stunts' sake. Right?
Mm.
Mm.
I thought honestly, the first time it happened, I actually laughed genuinely because just the zoom, bam, dead.
Oh
It
my
does
God, you
make
know what
it
it
does
is?
make.
It's
Oh,
it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail when they're on the bridge and they have to answer the
Yeah,
questions.
it is.
I
It
just
is.
realized it.
Yes. What
eh,
is your name?
Oh,
So, Robin, I seek the Holy Grail. What is your quest? I seek the Holy Grail. What is the land speed? Yeah, yeah.
oh, exactly. I just realized that's exactly what it is. And
Mhm.
yeah, I understand it's too hardcore. It leans more into Torchwood the Hoe, like just
yeah,
crunching them up
I
like a
don't
piece of
know. We've
paper.
had pretty like hardcore deaths in Doctor Who
yeah,
and Sarah Jane Adventures before. I don't see
yeah.
why it couldn't have just been like maybe even like
I
Emperors of
think
Mars. You know when the troopers get shot or the soldiers get shot in
they
Empress of
turned
Mars and
into
they're
flesh
crumpled
cubes.
into like shell and flesh cubes. Why couldn't it have just been and they're just like this crumpled thing on the floor?
Oh,
They've
You know?
done turning heads as well before.
Hmm.
They could just done drop.
We've
yeah.
had bones fucking crack before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
they
we've had bones
snapped
crack.
people's necks in series 5.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
angels were going into.
I mean, I know we've had bones crack and the like. I didn't think about like that great example from, well, from both of you actually, like with the flesh cube. So yeah, why couldn't we? And even just a snap of the neck. And I do realize it is a bit because, well, we've got the money, so let's just do stunts. And it is interesting because on paper, it sounds like, oh, this could be a cool visual for someone to just get thrown away from a distance. But there is something about simplicity, about someone just suddenly snapping in pieces in front of you, which is more horrifying. So I
I
agree.
I think that's something else that like you are on point. I think it should have been happening like that because rewind to the start of the episode. All the bodies, the necks have been snapped. Oh no, all of them are broken. It's not just their neck. So it's not a toss in the air is not going to do it. It will kill you, but it's not going to shatter all your bones.
I think it's implied that the strength of it throwing them up there is what breaks them entirely, which I guess, but I don't think all they could think of when they were flying up there was like, like an old cartoon, like whoa.
See,
I I had a different view because I just envisioned the monks from Tooth and Claw.
oh, so
That
we've got
bit where
Tooth
they all
and
just go
Claw.
up before they start fighting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Tooth
see.
and
I
Claw,
see.
old Disney cartoons, Monty Python.
Mhm.
Well, that's a selection of things. So take your pick, folks.
Spot the Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also had people compare it to Power Rangers and all the sort of stunt
Yeah,
coordination
that's a
stuff.
big one I saw. It is so Power Rangers, and I really do think it does detract from the episode a bit, which is a real shame because I think it's such a strong episode. I really do think it is. It's just a shame that they decided to do that. Personally, I just don't think it fits the vibe. But hey ho.
True, but my God, when shit goes down, when absolute chaos happens, when it's just people's fears taken over and absolute chaos happen, people are like falling down like flies. They have that one guy just trying to flee, but he does the idiotic thing of turning around and then gets
Mm,
ragdolled, and it's like,
yeah.
fuck.
Here's the
Oh,
thing. This is where the clock thing kind of falls down a bit actually as well,
mm,
Yeah.
because Alice a couple times, and you can see from the shot people being directly behind her, and they don't get killed, right? So I'm not understand. And the doctor says about don't look at her, like look down. I think that's implying there that that someone has to be looking at Alice at 6 o'clock for someone to be killed at
mm.
midnight,
Also,
right?
yeah. Also, I just realized we've missed another. I don't know if this was intentional. Midnight was a season 4 episode. And what was
Yeah.
the deal about season 4?
Oh
That
yeah,
there was something,
planets were disappearing. Yeah.
well, planets disappearing, but also that there was something on Lorna's back. I'm wondering if they got a little bit inspired by that or just tried to use that
Cass
as a.
did think about that. It did feel very there's something on your back,
Yeah.
which did mislead us for a bit because I kind of had an inkling it would be the midnight thing. I didn't know for sure, but I had an inkling because I was picking up all the little tiny hints, and I was still surprised when it happened. But that's not the point. The point
Mm.
is that as soon as they kept talking about something behind her, it was very much we both were sat looking at each other and being like, turn left, maybe. No, no,
Mhm.
maybe.
I mean, I know Donna wasn't there for midnight, like she didn't get on the shuttle, but I don't know if that was like a deliberate thing or not, but if so, there's a nice little reference, a nice little sort of thought to it.
Hmm.
But also for Shire,
Share.
however, Shay, Shah, for them to actually take charge and be like, no, hey, look at me, Alice. Let's just kill this fucker for killing everyone
Yeah,
else.
no, that
Also,
was the fucking hardest
yeah,
thing in this entire episode.
it was.
Fuck the midnight entity. That was
Yeah,
fucking stone cold.
yeah.
Oh
It's just like
yeah.
it's like, look, they just killed half our team. Just kill this guy already, because otherwise the rest of us are gonna go. Also, take a drink for every time you hear us say a curse word in this episode. We're that enthusiastic about it. We're just dropping F-bombs left, right, and
What
center.
the fuck do you mean? I'm not fucking swearing at all, you fucking
Please,
fuck.
please, fucking drink fucking responsibly, everyone.
Ah, see? Now Jack's got us fucking started. We have to fucking keep on drinking.
Oh no, bro! Oh, Starry started again. Not alcoholic, Robin.
Oh.
No, Robin, please don't do this. We love you, man.
Oh.
Okay. Obviously, the Doctor has Cher shoot the Mercury uh valves or what have you, which create like a mirror sort of screen behind
Yeah, it's like a
them.
liquid mirror.
Yeah.
I have one. Okay. I wasn't thinking about this initially, but now I am. I do have one tiny, very tiny. It doesn't distract. It's just one very tiny, tiny, tiny issue.
Yeah, go on.
Mercury vapor. That would not be a healthy room for any of them. They would have been getting ill very quickly.
Yeah.
The rest of the episode is their imagination.
I also do think the sort of ripple and shove forward, which happens to Alice's, for lack of a better term, does kind of look a bit wank as well. But hey, you know. But then here's the thing. We get to them running down the corridor and the doctor goes, I have to see it. I have to see. And even then, we don't really see what this creature is coming out there. And it does sort of have like a corporeal form. But I don't trust it at the same time. I'm still like,
It
no,
has
it's
something, but
making
we
you do
don't
it.
know. We just see flickering shadows.
Yeah.
And
Also-
obviously, if you've seen Unleashed, we do know it is a person. But the way it's shot, it's deliberately done to be kind of not telling if it's a humanoid or if it's anything. It's just flickering shadows.
Which,
And then,
good. You know, I'd
which,
never
yeah.
wanted to see what it looks like. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, I was going to say, and here's the thing. They get back to the airlock. The airlock takes 6 at a time, right? Alice and 2 other troopers go. 3 people. What does the airlock show?
4.
Oh,
Did you miss this, Robin?
yeah, I
I
did.
only watched it once.
Yeah, holy shit, that's such a cool feature. Oh, that's so cool.
Dude,
Oh,
Elvis has already left the building.
yeah. Oh, fucking hell. I need a drink after hearing that. No,
Which, right,
oh,
leads to so many more theories because you have,
oh, I'm getting hyped.
yeah, you then have the whole bit between Shea, the Doctor, Belinda, and Mo all thinking it's attached to them. Honey,
Oh
it's
my
gone.
God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've literally missed. Oh,
I
oh,
have
that's
my
so
own
good.
theory for this too. 10 times watching it, of course, I have theories for fucking everything at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it had left, and I think what they heard, because Belinda does hear a whisper. But this is obviously a very traumatic event. I can believe that this is like just a slight echoes of its existence. I believe it can leave tiny remnants of itself. Just
That's the
enough to
thing.
freak people out.
We have no idea of its power. It could be that. It could just be because Belinda doesn't seem quite sure, right? But it could just be her mind playing tricks for her because she's that terrified. You know, what I will say is you do see a bit of a shadow behind her at one point,
Yeah, I saw that.
but that could be anything there, you know?
Could even be our own imagination, which I love that point of yours, Jack. That's such a good one. It's what an episode we got. Like for us to have gone back in episode 10 of the podcast and be like, oh, you're gonna make a sequel to Midnight? You mad person. It will never work. And the fact that this episode wasn't even gonna be a sequel to Midnight originally, the fact that
Yeah.
like Shooty really wanted to push for the involvement of Orisha gods from Nigeria, which is super interesting as a concept, but I can completely respect the fact that RTD was like, well, because they're based off of genuine and respected gods of religion, you know, there's that fine line about how do we treat this respectfully. And as they were writing the
You
script,
get a
they
person
just
of
were,
color to write it.
well,
You get
yeah.
a person of color,
Yeah.
Russell, to write the episodes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Jack with that. And it's just I just thought I'd just bring up the fact that he mentioned that on the interviews as well, which I found interesting, and I think that was the right call that he didn't write that. It would be great if we could get that included with the white writer. But yeah, no,
I
completely.
mean, story in the engine.
Story in
Who
the engine,
knows?
yeah. Who
Who
knows?
knows?
Uh,
Guys, I was just gonna say, Belinda fucking dies this week.
you're telling me that in R2D2 Era 2, a companion gets shot in the third episode in a quarry-like planet,
Like
and both
poetry.
episodes feature Varada Sefu?
Oh my god.
If I had a nickel,
Yeah,
Uh,
it's funny, isn't it? It's like poetry. It rhymes.
I love how good a shot Shio is, because if they weren't, like Belinda would just be absolutely dead for sure.
I
Oh,
mean, as we said at the start, she needed a fucking nap. They
Mm.
just went for
Can I?
Jurassic action.
The whole sequence of her shooting Belinda and then running and narrating this part of her running through the wildlands, I think she says, as a child, and like the fire's there and it echoes her running along the corridors. It's
Mm.
shot so beautifully.
Yeah.
And then she gets to the well. And this is Star, you said this to me. This is your big indicator that the entity wasn't there at all. Because she quite literally has her back to the doctor, doesn't
And it
she?
is pretty spot on. He is looking.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And then she turns around, and it's really difficult. I want to talk about some hypocrisy with myself for this part here now, okay? Because I'm not a big fan of the self-sacrifice part or the trigger warning here, people. Okay, big trigger warning. Gonna say it now. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the suicide, being used as a good thing, or to, it's not even that really with it here. It's being used as a ploy. It's the only way that Shia sees to save everyone else, and she says it's her job. But I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
not genuinely and stuff. Okay. Um. Here's the hypocrisy of it myself here. The fact that it's made more tragic by it being rendered essentially
Pointless.
pointless
Yeah.
is here's the hypocrisy. I'm trying to find a way. It's not that I like that, but I appreciate it thematically and from an art standpoint,
Yeah.
in terms of the
It
story.
it very much feels like it's the entity's final game on this place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because after that, we have Belinda and the Doctor in the TARDIS. They don't even go out to say goodbye. They head off.
They're lying on the ground, like panicked about Earth. Like the fear in their faces is there again.
Mm-hmm.
And the Doctor is once again saying, I don't know. And after this episode, I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
is probably the
No.
worst question the Doctor has in his mind.
Mm-hmm. Mo in that time is speaking to their benefactor or supervisor, who turns out to be Mrs. Flood.
Woo! Yeah, Mrs. Flood. Woo! Yeah, come on,
I
Jack. Come on, Jack. He's so excited for
Is
this.
right.
Jack,
Look, I want to
Jack.
say it. I want to say it. I want to say it. Okay. Let me
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say my piece on it quickly. Okay. This is that breadcrumb which I was talking about before earlier. That I could not care less about. We did this last year, and I'm sorry. Beyond Mrs. Flood's first, never seen a TARDIS before. I'm sorry. The mystery was dead on arrival. I don't care.
Mm.
I really don't care. And I don't know anyone that really does give a massive shit.
It's sad but true. It really is. Like, it should be more interesting, but it's not like we have any idea of what she is either. If we had
Oh,
an
I do.
idea,
I have an idea of what she is, but I just don't want to say it in case I'm right. Because
I,
I'll hate it.
I'm going to say it because I have a thought. This is the most Brawny like I've seen her. It does feel like she's experimenting.
you can't see it right now, folks, but Jack is literally jumping up and down with excitement around the room. Just the
Oh,
idea.
No,
fuck
no,
off,
no, no, no,
Marcus.
no,
No.
Robin, no.
Robin,
Let him
fuck
have his
off.
moment.
I just hate it. And here's the big one. I've said this on Twitter. I've said there are parallels between it. I didn't want to say it just in case I'm right. If it's revealed that Mrs. Flood is the Rani, and it's done in the way of going, Doctor, well, what becomes before the flood? The rain. And then we have a fucking anagram appear, and it turns into Ronnie.
I will say it's very funny that on the day that we're recording this, they announced the finale is airing in cinemas.
Yes. I'm just imagining Jack in a cinema, just full on screaming at the top of his lungs, and everyone just looking at him like.
I will not go to the cinema to watch this. I will watch it from the comfort of my own home because I cannot imagine the embarrassment I would have felt if I just sat in a theater and had to watch Empire of Death.
Ah.
Excuse me. It was a terrible episode, but I loved the vibe.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But I would feel so. Look, I'm going to say it now. We've got 3 weeks coming up now with different writers that are not Russell Davis.
Mm.
Yeah. We have a person of color writing an episode for the 15th Doctor. We have Juno Dawson, the first trans writer writing for the TV show. I cannot wait. Less Fuss by Lucky Day next week because it's Pete McTighe who did Couple Amps. I'm not a bit of fan. But still, it's not Russell. I'm going to enjoy the next 3 weeks. And then I'm going to wait for him to shit the bed in the last 2 parts.
I'm forever the optimist. I'm gonna hope.
The Legend of
Pray
Ruby
that-
Sunday and Empire of Death, Robin.
I know, but I'm just saying, I'm just gonna hope out that we get a satisfying ending, because if it's another season with another shitty conclusion, it is going to really break my heart, and it's just going to give fake fans of Doctor Who sorry, Jack, let me finish this. It's going to give fake fans of Doctor Who just another excuse to post those awful thumbnails on YouTube and be like, oh, well, you see that Doctor Who was too woke and therefore that's why it failed. It's like, fuck off. That's not the case. You know, I hate those. Sorry, that's my piece there.
I'm going to just drag this along because I don't want this to get too heated. But I will say
sorry.
I will say my last kind of theory, and this is one I think does. Jack, you may be upset, but I think it does work. I can see it being Gods of Ragnarok. Here's my reasoning.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that as much.
I'm still going to say my reasoning.
Okay.
Obviously, last episode, it's been very entertainment focused. Cinema, Doctor Who fans. We're getting a lot of entertainment things, sequels, campy space sci-fi. They're doing all the different genres. It's fucking Eurovision's coming up. The biggest entertainment.
Yeah.
I can see, because last time we saw the Gods of Ragnarok, it was about the greatest show in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying it would line up. And I'm hoping that Mrs. Flood is just like this original character. God, it would be so nice if she's just an original character trying to stop the gods. It would be so nice if she was just a Doctor Who fan that made it into our universe. It would be the dumbest thing, but I would love it. And it would explain the fourth wall breaks.
Yeah.
It would. Still.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Okay. I'm going to come back to the episode quickly because there's one final scene where Mo comes out, the TARDIS has disappeared, and there's the the trooper who's obviously not been down with them, not missed the whole episode. And Mo's talking about how she's going to have to write a report and stuff. And I think I think the crew member's called Foale, and they ominously seem to notice something behind her. And we see Mo's very clear worry, and it just cuts to black.
Perfect. Perfect
You
way to
hear
end
the
the episode.
whisper.
Yeah. Oh.
It reminds me of what they did with what. See, I feel this might be one of those. What's the effect like? You remember something, but that's not how it happened.
Oh, the Mandela effect?
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, yeah. No, for some reason, I have it in my head that Forest of the Dead ends with the gnarling of Vashnarada eating something.
Huh.
And it cuts to black as soon as River turns off the light and you hear the Vashnarada. And I don't know where that's come from, but it reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, that is. And I'm glad
It
you
feels
brought it
pointless
back.
to bring up because it's a
No, no,
Mandela effect. But...
it's an interesting thing if it was, or if it wasn't, that'd be a cool little feature for them to have added. I'm glad you brought things back around as well, Jack, because I think it's very important that here on the podcast we all have our time to speak our opinions and speak up about things that we love about Doctor Who, as well as frustrates us or worries us. And this is a place where, as much as we joke and sort of tease one another, we're all friends here, and we all respect each other's opinions, and we just want what's best for Doctor Who at the end of the day. Not to let anyone worry with listening in when we get heated like that. But at the end of the day,
this is not Empire of Death again.
No, exactly. And at the end of the day,
What I will say is that I am the Rani's biggest hater until the day I die. If the Rani has no haters, I'm dead.
I think that brings us on to the rankings of the episode.
Yes.
I'm going to take the first slot this time.
Oh, please do.
And I'm going to break the rules because I've seen it 10 times. I'm going to fucking say 11.
Damn.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take the second spot then. I am. I loved this episode. I loved it from start to finish. This episode had me engrossed the entire time. Not once did I look at the clock. Not once did I feel that there was a moment that
No,
took me
you
out of the
did. You did look
experience.
at the clock.
You did, yeah, come on.
Yeah, come on, Robin.
Oh,
It's
okay.
getting the episode
Oh.
already.
Robin,
Come
how
on.
can you forget this already? Robin!
Look, okay, you know what? I just went on my phone halfway through. I went on TikTok. It didn't
See,
really grab me.
Robin, that's where you're going wrong. Get off your phone.
Do you know what TikTok is? It's the sound of clock makes.
Oh no! It all comes round.
And this year we have a novelization of The Chimes of Midnight coming out. It's all connected.
Oh my god, that was too quick start. That was amazing.
You die at scrolling.
Yes, I loved this episode. It grabbed me so much. It was so tense. The fact that they had the balls to do a sequel and for it to still be its own thing and for it to still be as powerful. And as we discussed things, like I was wondering, has my opinion sort of gone down a couple of points or not at certain points? But even things that I kind of nitpicked on or disagreed on, just still think about that first view and how much I loved it. And now being given so much more things to think about thanks to the things you both noticed that I didn't. 10 out of 10 episode for me. It's just, I loved it. Absolutely adored it.
Okay. I think it's Shooty's best episode so far. It's not my favorite episode so far.
Fair.
I'm still going to say that's Lux because I just adore that. But I think this is the best episode of Shooty's era so far. So do you know what? I was going to give it a 9. But I'm going to feel the vibe. I'm going to join you guys. I'm going to give it a 10.
Come here.
Go on.
Come here. Oh, yeah.
This is a rare moment. I'm going to put a sound effect here.
Woo!
I think that's a lovely moment for us to head on over to what our listeners are for. It's time for our space-time telegraph. Okay, so let's have a look-see. I'm actually going to head over to the Time Siren Productions server and the Awful Lot Running channel first of all, because for once I don't have to delve into the hellscape that is Twitter, because we had no responses on Twitter this week, everybody!
Yay.
Freedom! Lovely.
We did just have one friend of the show, though, who said that we could share their response, though.
Oh yes, well we'll get to that one in a second. That one was sent through DMs, so technically
It counts, but it's not through the same system, so it doesn't.
yes, huzzah.
Huzzah!
Anyway, our first one comes from enemy of the podcast, Catherine Weaver.
Ugh.
This episode asks the bold and daring question: what if Doctor Who good?
Oh, ouch! Claws out already.
It's derivative, yeah, and the clock striking midnight concept just doesn't quite go with a scenario where Earth doesn't exist, and ergo neither does Earth time. But I was enjoying yelping aloud when the thing came out and everything was hopeless and morbid, and it ended on pointless self-sacrifice. Chef's kiss. It's like a view. It's like a view of what the Doctor's adventures would look like with realistic consequences. Of course, it's hopeless. You can't see or reason with the thing, and it knows everything about you. I don't think it being a midnight sequel is actually bad. It's probably a bit in part because Rusty Davis wanted to generate headlines and content. Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. That's what the creature should. That's what the creature was whispering. It's actually RTD. He's going marvelous. Marvelous, generate content, marvelous, and content. But the concept is so good it works twice. Cat, beloved of the podcast. We do actually, as Robin said, we technically have one from Twitter. However, it was sent via DM. This is from the Howdy Beans podcast. My thoughts are Midnight. Midnight on the Well. Sorry, Midnight is one of my favorites, and admittedly, sequels are never always better. But this was a great exploration into the creature of that story. It was terrifying. Should have been a two-parter, honestly. Also, sign representation is outstanding. So, thank you so much for that. Howdy Beans podcast have been a great supporter to us for a good while now. So, really appreciate them sending that in.
Thank you so much.
Next one is from Blue Sky. I believe you're familiar with this person, Star. Someone called Cassian.
No idea who that loser is.
Okay. He says 9 out of 10 episode. My one gripe is the ending that implied the creature escaped. It makes Shay's sacrifice pointless and that she died for nothing. It's good to hear that, because obviously Kat said she likes that part. I've said I can appreciate that part. So it was interesting to see Cass's point of view on that as well. I think they're all valid. They're all valid,
definitely.
those opinions, I think,
I will say, after he posted that, I'm pretty sure I called him a silly sausage for it.
Well, I will say, no, he is completely valid to have that opinion.
He's still a silly sausage. I'm married to him. I'll call him what I like.
Yeah, he's a silly sausage. Next one comes from Georgie is Lost. Probably about a 9 out of 10 for me. So scary, creepy, and atmospheric. Well paced. Great guest cast. Great build of suspense and dread, but being real, it really didn't need to be a midnight sequel. What was here was already scary and effective. It really should have just been a new creature in a new place. As all of it being a midnight sequel gives it is the reveal that it is, which is only really going to be effective for selective few people. Hardcores and those who happen to remember this 17-year-old episode. Almost everything else about it is great, but the connection to a 10th Doctor episode was unnecessarily forced, and it doesn't feel like a sign of the show in a healthy place, and really feels like it didn't have the confidence to let this thing stand on its own, which it easily could have done. Totally valid.
Yeah, I think those are completely valid points.
Yeah. I definitely felt that myself. I'll say that when I first watched it, I definitely felt that, but I've since gone back on it. So yeah. Okay. Next one comes from over on YouTube this time. Joe Collier 4923. Okay, so it was pretty good. I was never one for the midnight or I was never one for 000 p.m. But here's some pros and cons. Pros. I love the pre-credits talk and the use of toxic, showing the danger but enjoyment the journey is bringing. The arc is intriguing as the immediate drop helps to force them into the new story. The 24-hour the midnight entity is a super toy maker's kid coded not to link everything to the gods, but I love calling out the necessity of sign language training. We get it, Russell. You've played Among Us. But actually, I really like it for the idea of what happens when these games end, where the imposter is the last one. Cons. The episode should have had a trigger warning for people with paranoia. This is just me for the meme. Recycling T. Davis, saving the world one script at a time. Why didn't it switch back to the old game it played when stuff went wrong for it with it hiding behind? I don't want this to be like the Weeping Angel, so let's not mine this diamond planet till it's barren. Anyway, 7 out of 10. Very nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next one comes from CR Pal Stuck 2966, a regular commenter. It even says so here. Hi, regular YouTube commenter CR Pal here. As someone who had insomnia last night and could not fall asleep whatsoever, I eventually gave up and watched the new episode by myself in the dark at 4 a.m. and it added immensely to the experience. Russell and Sharma have crafted a genuinely gripping, and I have to say, it actually freaked me out. While I really enjoy it, I still have some issues. So without further ado, here's the good and bad for me. The good. How well they utilized Alice as a deaf person. You can constantly feel the desperation and fear she's feeling through the episode. The whole bit with her being unable to understand people when they put their back to her because she couldn't read lips, and that being thematic to how the entity works, was some great acting and writing. The atmosphere throughout this episode is genuinely electrifying at points, the entity being seen in shadows was crazy. I like that fundamentally the entity has planned all this out in advance. It made all the other crew members go crazy and kill each other, leaving behind the one person that could cause distrust among people that would investigate the outpost and then be immune to going crazy from it. I think you can make a pretty easy through line from the entity from Midnight being a younger, more juvenile version of this fully developed, hundreds of thousands of years old entity that has fully matured and watched humans destroy its planet and now needs a way to escape. Belinda and the Doctor are continuing some great characterization beats. I love that this objectively horrible ending for all the ancillary characters. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but it adds so much to the power of the entity. Bad. Screw the online idiots who spoiled that the midnight entity was going to be in this episode for engagement. It really ruined my perception of the episode when it was revealed that the planet was midnight. I agree. I was there with you. Why was Britney Spears' Toxic played for a grand total of 5 seconds at the beginning? It felt pointless and needlessly reminded me of End of the World. Valid. The Doctor and Belinda just happen to have the correct military uniforms. Okay, then. The whole episode being essentially a sequel to Midnight doesn't really help the episode because you're now constantly comparing it in your head. What differences it between it and the original episode and this episode are? It's as if the episode's premise retroactively became the Midnight entity to connect the plot as opposed to being originally designed for the Midnight entity in mind. I'm getting so tired of the exact same arc of this old woman is cameoing in every episode. It got tiring last season, and it's much more tiring to be tackled in this episode. I need Mrs. Flood to do something different. I mean, come on. Yeah. And last one from YouTube, friend of the show, James York, the Queer Doctor. When the clock strikes 12, it was a 10, 10, 10 across the board. Lovely.
Beautiful stuff.
And of course, we've got some over in the An Awful Lot of Running email as well. So I'm going to whiz through these very quickly. First one comes from Jake Mancuso, everyone's favorite fan art guy. Hello, podcasty friends. I don't know how I feel about this being a sequel, but overall, I thought this was another great episode. It easily could have been a standalone, but it's a nice expansion to the Midnight Entity, or now it has no name. The reveal did have me screaming, and now with the idea of it being affected by reflections, I have so many ideas about how the old diamond reflective planets could have played with the lore. Most importantly, I'm very happy when it comes down to it. We still have no clue what the hell this thing is. I really hope season 2 keeps up with the momentum because so far I've been loving it. Much love, your favorite fan art guy. And of course, no space-time telegraph section would be complete without an essay from our much-loved listener, our much-loved friend, Thomas Mad Beach.
Hey.
Hello, Jack, Robin, and Star, back once again on the back of this podcast to give my thoughts or reactions to The Well, so let's dive in. I had elevated expectations for this story, and it mostly delivered. Loved the gritty sci-fi setting, the cinematography, character work, the soundtrack was nothing short of incredible, some of the best directing and set work I've seen for RTD2. Despite heralding the return of the Midnight Entity, it felt too unrecognizable except for the planet name ETC, given the entity physical form was initially scary but then became a letdown. Midnight Entity to me was formidable enough of a threat without the need to evolve it, in my opinion. The concept of embodying and taking your voice, sapping away what you are, is horrifying. The feeding from paranoia was excellent in the first place. Evolving it felt like a deliberate change to make it easier to defeat. Giving the entity a new physical form made it feel more akin to the Time Beetle from Series 4. Hello,
Hey.
Robin. Hey.
Good job.
Hey, what you talking about? Hey, I'm walking here. There's
I have to
something
put
on your
up with
back.
these two.
You
There's
love it,
something on
Star.
your back, etc. I'm left unfounded why you would bring back the entity and have truly little of what made it great in the first place. The Well is the aliens to Midnight's alien. Yeah! Ooh, take a shot
Hey.
every time you heard that this episode.
Certainly
Having a
will.
lot. Robin, please seek help. He's drinking now.
It's Fanta,
Have it-
folks. It's Fanta.
Straight absinthe. Having a larger setting and horde of nameless troopers to just fling about made the entity's presence weaker, to be honest. If the goal of the entity is to infiltrate and escape, why kill so obviously? The initial build-up of neck breaking and shooting in the back felt more in line with how the original creature worked. Having such a brash show of power and strength felt very generic. However, the way the entity preys on Alice's anxieties and isolates her feeling authentic, it felt authentic. But having the entity whisper in your ear, making people paranoid, I'm just trying to get the yargle of this script. It feels like 73. I hope that Alice, a deaf character, having rudimentary speech would have been more pivotal to defeating the entity, but I cannot help but feel her character function was meant to just be a victim or untrustworthy, which I know could be a stretch or dismissive, but portraying her disability as other is still off to me. I guess that's part of the drama and the stakes, but it gave my mum discomfort, who is hard of hearing and requires hearing aids. It was clever and affirming to have a line from the doctor to address this and the use of sign language. It doesn't matter the year, signing still makes people paranoid. However, a mid sequel to Midnight, if I were to only judge it by that merit alone, overall, sorry, a mid sequel to Midnight, if I were to only judge it by that merit alone. The set design, the first act pacing, the soundtrack was phenomenal at building tension and atmosphere. While a great episode in its own right, I am so mixed on this episode, and that is good. I like being so conflicted and having so much to mull over. My thoughts on this episode are bound to change and evolve, I'm sure. 8.5 out of 10.
Hey, there we
Before
go.
you continue, I would just like to say well done to him. because this was originally twice the size he sent in. It was 1,000 and something words.
Wow.
We
Thomas?
dodged a bullet.
We love your writing. Just please have mercy on our podcast.
Lisa Marie's thoughts.
Oh, there we go.
Really enjoyed this episode from the first viewing. As somebody who is casual about Doctor Who and past episodes, I still really enjoyed this despite the lack of content on my end. With this being a sequel of sorts, I appreciate the link again to prejudices. As someone who is hard of hearing and requires aids, I felt Alice's struggle with isolation and lack of empathy from others. I will be renaming myself to Miss Flood at this rate with a link in each episode. I also agree that nurses should know sign language BSL. In fact, most places should have it taught or implemented. I like the parallel of Alice wanting to go home, same as Belinda. Love the female strong trooper leader. Again, costume design and set work were top notch. Really added to the immersion of the story. I'm not sure why we have a running theme of men being knobheads. Actually, I've answered my own question. The series is running on a high so far. I'm still engaged with Mrs. Flood's recurring cameos. Great all-round, solid episode. We're 3 for 3 so far. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Hey.
Okay, that's the end of the email.
Surprise! Pete Beach cameo.
I was like,
Thomas's-
no, no,
Thomas's dad.
Oh, whoa.
As a member of MPQC Minerals Protection for Products and Qualification Council, I share a vast appreciation for the return of the quarry setting in Doctor Who. Having grown up with quarries in the Pertwee Baker Davison eras, I've missed seeing the rocky terrains I'm fond of. It was nice to see all safety buns were in place and the quarry face was dressed correctly. I can't believe what I'm fucking reading here. I thought the interaction of the Doctor and the quarry was quite realistic. Though a lot of the ground was rolled, which is unrealistic to an environment like this. So back in the day during Classic Who, these grounds would be just rocky and unclean. So it's nice to see it tidied up. And the 500-mile mining shaft. I'd never seen one so straight in my life. Thomas note, he got distracted and pointed at the TV screen during Unleashed to talk about the hills and rock faces. 7 out of 10. Quarry's too rolled.
Oh my god.
Massive thanks for hearing us out. Really excited to hear the pod. Our hopes are up for episode 4. Thomas, Mad, Beach, Lisa Marie, and Pete.
Man, I
Thank
can't
you.
believe we got the Rolling Stones on the pod.
Oh, gosh and golly. Well, there we go.
Great responses. And, and it's good to see so many people with very different opinions about this episode. I can see why people have had such different opinions. So I'm still thrown off by that last one. That's great. That's really great.
Yeah, I think
I've never seen a man speak so positively about his shaft.
Let's go to the Cannon Buster. So the Cannon Buster is my little tasty morsel, my golden nugget at the end of the episode where I bring up something in Doctor Who canon, which is a bit strange, a bit weird, but we have to accept it as being canon. It has to be a real thing because it just is fun that way, isn't it? Let's face it. And the one I'm bringing you today is I typed something into the TARDIS wiki before we started here, and this was a pretty scary episode. This was, and when someone's scared of something, they're sometimes described as wetting themselves.
Okay.
Did you look up piss on the TARDIS wiki?
How dare you? I looked up urine.
Okay. Where is this going to go?
You're in big trouble.
Due to print errors, the initial batch of Delta and the Bannerman novelization itself mistitled as Delta and the Bannermen, or Bannerman, sorry, instead of Bannermen, accidentally described the Seventh Doctor as having urinated in a linen store and realized the shelf he was peeing over was an inch deep in dust. By all accounts, it should say he was peering over the shelf, and it was fixed in subsequent print runs. But no. Apparently, the Seventh Doctor pisses in a linen store.
I mean,
There you go.
I don't know. I think you're taking the piss with this one.
And you know what? That's not the only reference to piss or urine, colloquially referred to as piss or pee, was a liquid expelled from the body as a way of ridding toxins. There's plenty more about piss. There's plenty more about
Oh
urine.
God, we're on to piss
You know?
season.
yeah.
An awful lot of
Absolutely.
pissing.
Yeah.
An awful lot of pissing. So yeah, thank you both for joining me tonight to talk about piss and the well.
And what quarries?
Yeah, and rock quarries. Yeah, cool.
Oh, that's the ideal night out.
Yeah.
Piss, quarries, and wells.
Well, I've been Jack.
I have been Robin.
Star.
This has been an awful lot running a Doctor Who podcast, and let's face it, if you want to go home the long way round, it's going to require an awful lot of running. Ta-ra for now. I pressed the wrong button.
Fucking idiot.